All right. And I'm trying to see it. Demetria, you on Facebook? I know. Are you gonna ask a question? Yeah. Okay, perfect. All right. Let me get on my phone. And I'm just waiting for the notification. Boom, boom, boom. Did it come up yet?
Yeah. We live.
Wonderful. Live. Okay, excellent. I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight for a special Off the Record. We have some special guests, and I'm very humbled and excited that you all took some time out of your busy schedule to hear what we have to say today in this wonderful conversation. We have the moderator for tonight, my sister Naeemah, holding it down. She will be asking the questions that have already been presented, and then I'll take the questions from the audience. We have a special guest all the way from Naperville holding it down, my high school best friend, Big Aaron, who is an owner's consultant and excellent, and a very successful man, businessman. And then we have a minister, brother, who's an educator, who's wrote books about relationships, male-female relationships, and he has excellent just a source of knowledge on male and female relationships. So I'm humbled that everyone is here. Okay, Naeemah, let's get it started.
So let's jump right into it. My first question is, how much do looks really matter to men? And we can start with you, Josh.
Okay. It's not about looks. It's not about looks.
Keep it real, Black.
It's not. I'm keeping it real. Listen, it's not about looks. When I was younger, in high school, with Big Aaron being silly, I was very shallow, and I might have overlooked some people on the outside, based on the outside appearance. But when I got older, I just realized it's more about the energy and the spirit of people. So to me, it's not about looks. It's about the happiness and the spirit of people. So, hey, you asking a question too.
Okay, Aaron, you're next, and Brother Willie.
It's absolutely about looks, right? So, I mean, so for men, right? I mean, we're our physical creatures, right? So, as a man, as we're walking by, the first thing we catch is the looks, and then it rolls into personality and all that good stuff. So I think for men alone, I think it's very important for us to be attracted to what we're looking for. And I think men get attracted first by what we see, right? So it's like what we see, and then we go into the energy and the other things Josh has been talking about. So looks matter. Don't get it twisted.
Thank you, Aaron, for being honest. Because Josh is up here lying. Brother Willie, can you answer?
I believe that in the beginning, I believe that looks do play a significant part in a relationship, because you don't hear people like, man, I'm interested in her because her credit score was 700. So I think it's the first phase, but in order for a relationship or a marriage to last, it can't stay that way. Because as beautiful as Beyonce is, as handsome as, what's our brother, the one who wanted to play the Black James Bond, the woman, all the ladies.
Idris Elba.
Exactly. As handsome as brother is, and as beautiful as Beyonce is, or Halle Berry, eventually that physical appearance is gonna fade. So you need to have something more to be able to hold it. But it does play a part. I got to be real with you.
Excellent. Okay, Naeemah, let me tell you what's going on in the comments.
Okay.
Mimi says, "Don't lie, Josh." Tamisha says, "It's not about looks." LOL. And then Mimi says, "Thank you, Aaron, for keeping it real, and thank you, Brother Willie." Exactly, Brother Willie. Thank you. Okay, so everybody.
Okay, my next question is, do men still believe in traditional gender roles? And Aaron, you can start.
I think you just got to be careful with today when you say gender roles, right? Because I think a lot of people get offended. But absolutely, in my house, I absolutely do believe in gender roles. I think it's very infrastructure. So I think that's why you have to find somebody who's going the same place you're going, right? And someone, we call it equally yoked, right? Because then a lot of times for men, a man could get in his feelings or a woman can get in her feelings about, who's supposed to be doing dishes right now? Who's supposed to be taking the trash out right now? So very important to be on the same page. So do I believe in gender roles? Absolutely. I just think that there should be equal. I think we're all put here for a reason, and you should fulfill what you think.
Yes, sir. Brother Willie?
And the question was, do men still believe in gender roles? I believe that gender roles are important as it relates to the success of a marriage and a relationship, right? But as brother was saying, that does not mean that men are superior or women are superior, inferior, but they are important. Like any successful team, like your brother Josh is a big sports fanatic, and I like sports too. Everybody has a role that they play, right? And even with acting, everybody has a role. However, in this day, in this society, I'm starting to see less men placing emphasis on gender roles, and I think that that's one of the reasons why the relationships that we have right now are going so far south, right? Because as you've heard the minister say that no woman can look up to a man that she has to take care of, right? Even though some sisters may say, or some women may say, regardless of their race, that tell a man, hey, I'll take care of you. You don't have to do that. They may verbally say that, but their nature will not allow them to be pleased with a man that they have to provide for as if he were their son. Yeah. So I say yes, it's starting to dwindle. It's starting to dwindle.
Yes, sir. Brother Joshua?
Absolutely. For myself, gender roles matter because I just think that girls, should wear pink I'm only in my house, wear dresses. You know what I'm saying? I like that. I like that purple and the girl spray and Bath and Body, all that feminine. Because if I got masculine energy and she got feminine energy, we gonna balance each other out. So I think that women should be, feminine acting, and I'll take care of all the barking and the masculine and stuff. I'll take care of that. Yes. Okay, now let me say the comments.
Okay.
Mimi says I agree. Being equally yoked is key, and Keon Wilson says so true. Okay, go ahead, Naeemah.
Okay, I have a second part to that question, and it's, do you think women want to be financially provided for in 2019? We have a new phase of the independent Black woman, and Black women are leading in entrepreneurship and in college degrees.
Good question.
So, Brother Willie, you can answer that one first.
Let me tell you something. That is a very good question. And if as men, we don't know how to make that adjustment, we won't be successful in our relationships right now, right? And the book that I will recommend to the listeners or to the viewers is this book called Why Mars and Venus Collide. It's about a guy who wrote the book, Mars and Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. What I like about the book is that it really adds to what we're taught about the natures of man and woman. So let me say this. As brothers, we have to understand that nowadays, by the time you meet a sister, she's got her own house. She's got her own car. I'm starting to sound like Lil Boosie, Josh. Right?
Yeah, I hear you.
But this is the thing. So sometimes as men, when we think that we're supposed to be the providers and we should, then what do you do when a woman has already provided those things for herself? So what has to happen is we have to realize that, yes, she has the material things, but there's something that God has placed in us as men that we can give her that material things can't buy. And that's a sense of being emotionally fulfilled, right? So I think we have to begin to start looking at that, because sisters are coming to the table and some of them are making more money than brothers and have their own stuff. So we got to be able to adjust to do that, but we still should be men in a relationship, right? I don't mean that we should be laying up on a woman because she got her own car. She got her own. There it is.
Okay, Josh, you can answer next.
Okay. What was the question again? Because that was good.
Do you think women want to be financially provided for in 2019? Still want to be financially provided for?
Absolutely, and I believe from my experience that if they say they don't, they lying, because they do. Even if they got some money, they still want to be taken out They still want to just be shown that a man is making some form of sacrifice financially to or monetarily to take care of her. So even if she got her own, even if she covers down sometimes, she's still gonna be, at some point she's gonna look and be like, you ain't gonna do nothing. And if you don't, then it's gonna be a problem. That's what I think.
Aaron?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we live in Atlanta. And this is the nation capital for entrepreneurship.
Yes.
So if you out here dating, you bound to bump into somebody who's making more than you all day long. But I don't think it changes the role. I don't think men should feel inferior because a woman makes more. I mean, that means you just got more to take care of on the home front. That just means you got more more on another side. I mean, it doesn't. But I do challenge our men to let that be motivation, right? So a lot of us are placed in different and if I see my girl coming home and she's like, man, babe, I just gotta raise. That challenges me to do more because I want to be the provider for the household. But a lot of times, if she's making something crazy, I mean, you just gotta take it as a challenge and don't feel inferior. Just feel that you have the ability to step in somewhere else. So I think there's another role to be fulfilled. And God has given you that opportunity. You need to soak it up.
Yes, sir.
Okay, hold on, Naeemah. I got to tell you the comments. Marva says definitely not. Keon Wilson says I do. Yahweh says Brother Willie quoting the King Boosie. LOL. Okay, and Mimi puts a smiley face. Thank you, Mimi. All right, go ahead, Naeemah.
All right. Do men have a different definition of love versus women's definition of love?
Woo!
And Aaron, you can answer this first.
Man, this is a deep question. I think that men and women just love differently, right? I think that men, we see love a lot of times as financial stability, right? Women don't want to hear that, like, oh, baby, I got to work late tonight. I got to get it for us. I love you so much. She's like, no, come home. And that makes, I love you more that way. So I think that's what makes marriage. I think that's the reason marriage can be challenging because we do love different. When we're trying to show that love, sometimes it goes unknown because people don't understand that there's a book called 5 Love Languages, right?
Yeah.
And I recommend everybody go after that book because there's truly 5 different love languages, and each person loves differently, and people need love in different areas, right? Because you have to remember you're marrying the historical past of a person, right? So that's what you're trying to love. And a lot of times they're missing things in different areas that needs to be loved. So I think overall, men and women, yes, we do love different.
Absolutely. Brother Willie?
Yo, I don't know where you got these questions from. Those
Hey, man, Google questions.
My goodness. Yo, she must have fasted before she fasted and meditated.
Yo.
I would say I think there is a different understanding of love between most men and most women, right? And when you said that, it made me think about this statement where I saw somebody say where they said men use love to get sex and women use sex to get love, right? And in this world in which we are living in, I think overall most people have a misunderstanding of what love is, right? Because most people equate love with sex. But like as the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan said, that love is duty. And that which we love, we are dutiful toward, right? So I think we have to get that better understanding of love. And then the other factor, as our brother mentioned, when he mentioned that book, I'm big on advocating people to read and get information because there's love, but then there's a difference in how we receive love, right? So as brother was saying, most men feel like by what we do for a woman, I'm showing you that I love you. If I spend time with you, I'm showing you that I love you. And for most women, they feel that how do you value me? Do you value my opinions? Do you value my input? That makes them feel love. And so what begins to start happening is that when a man begins to do certain things for a woman and he doesn't feel like it's being appreciated, he doesn't feel like she loves him. And when a woman doesn't feel valued, she begins to feel like the man doesn't love her. So we got to be educated. We got to learn those love languages like brother mentioned, because that's a very good book.
Yes, sir. Brother Joshua?
Absolutely. I was learning a lot from what both of them said. In high school, I had a girl that I used to date, and she would always complain about me putting my phone down or spending, quality time with her, engaged with her, like actually like just engaging with her. Because I can be in the same room, same car, be on a date, but I'm going to be on my phone or I'm going to be doing something else. And when I thought by me going with her or just being around her, that was showing that I loved her. Because to me, that was a sacrifice. I didn't want to go most of the places I was going. But when she was saying, you don't put your phone down, you won't do this, it was a breakdown of communication. And I think that we have to listen to what the other person has to say to better understand what they want. Because I thought that just being around a woman for a long period of time and every weekend and all meant that I loved her. But in her mind, I could have been doing something else. And if I would have known that, I would have just did something else. But I'm just saying, like when you better understand that, now that I understand, it's like, okay, women understand different than men. There is absolutely a difference, because I'm thinking that as long as we're around each other, that's showing that I love you, and that's not necessarily the case. Hold on, I gotta tell you the comments. Okay, so Marvin says, let's be clear. She was responding to Brother Willie saying she does not want a man laying up. Kiana said everybody has a unique love language. Desiree said Big Aaron, when she was talking about Big Aaron, hit it right on the head. Love is a verb. We supposed to use love as a noun. Tamisha says love is communication and duty. And Marvin says, oh, that's a no-no. I'm assuming she's talking about me with my phone. All right, go ahead.
Okay. My next question is, does a woman's past really matter? And Josh, can you answer this first?
What are you going? Like, I don't even understand how, like.
I want you to answer this one first.
What? Yes, it matters too. If that's what. Yeah. Okay. Well, none of us are perfect. So if she's judging me for my past, then I can't judge her for her past. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say that it gets sticky. But the more bodies that we have, or the more relationships that we might have, the more damage that we might have emotionally. And I would tell her, hey, I've been in this many relationships, so I should let you know that I'm bringing this much baggage with me. And if she tells me the same, then that gives me a chance to see, is this something I want to deal with? Because the more people we talk to, whether we know it or not, subconsciously, that does affect us. When if you don't know how to not carry that stuff into a new relationship. So to answer your question, the past does matter for her, and as well as my past does matter, because it can mess me up. You know what I'm saying? It can trigger something. You know.
Brother Willie.
Yo, like I'm saying, where did you get these questions from? I will respond to that. I will respond to that in this way: that any man or any male that has a checkered past should not be so hard and unforgiving on a woman that has a past that's similar to his. Like we can't get on this high pedestal where we can go around sleeping with whoever we want to sleep with, and then when it comes to her, we want to hold up to a higher standard than we will hold up for ourselves. And I will say for brothers who, with this view, what the minister said, and I just was watching this tape, he said that there's no such thing as a no good woman. She's been made that way by a no good man. So if we find a woman who has this particular past that we disagree with, we need to see what happened in her life that put her on that projection, right? And the last thing I will say this to brothers and to sisters regarding our past: the right person for you will be able to carry your baggage. The right person for us will be able to carry our baggage and say, listen, I know that's where you were, but I know you are someone else now. And if a person can't respect our past experiences, then maybe they're not the one for us.
Yes, sir. Big Aaron.
I mean, I was going to start mine out with that. I think that past is all relative, right? You know, when you get born again, and they say the old way is the old is washed away. Now you're a new person. You know what I mean? So that's how I feel about it. If I'm focused on your past, then that means that means I haven't let go of my past, right? Because I can't judge you for something you did when I'm out here doing something else. I think that's the problem in society we have today. We keep this judgment, we keep these labels on people, we keep, you know, who you were, who this and who that. That doesn't even matter anymore, right? If we try to do this thing right here, that's all that matters. If you focus on my past, then like Brother Willie said, keep it moving, right? Because it's not going to work. So I don't, you know, the initial thought of it is, yes, past does matter. But if you think about it and truly, if you truly love the person or you're truly into the person, then you wouldn't be focused on their past. You're going to be focused on how they're treating you right now, the love that they're giving you right now, the energy that they're giving you right now. And that's the only thing that's going to matter in your house.
And let me say this one also, what our brother said, because it sparked my mind. For anybody who claims to be a person of faith, be it Christian, Judaism, Islam, whatever it is, and say that we believe in God's ability to forgive and transform and make new, for us to be tripping over what somebody was before they knew God is very hypocritical.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Hold on, I got some comments.
Okay.
Curtisa says love is action, duty, sacrifice. Gamaliel says no, just be honest and teach. I know I'm butchering that name, but I don't know how to pronounce it. Curtisa says maybe the person for you will be able to help you to unpack your baggage. I hope not to help you to carry it.
Yeah.
There was, okay, hold on, I got one more thing to say. There was a woman, a girl named Carrie in high school. I won't say her last name or whatever, but Carrie had, she was very active in high school, but she met one of my friends from high school and he helped her, you know what I'm saying, really, help her. He loved her through all of that and it didn't matter. So shout out to Carrie and shout out to my high school friend who loved her even though she had a bad past. All right, go ahead, man.
Huge shout out.
Okay, my next question is, how do men feel if their partner is very active or popular on social media?
Ooh.
Brother Willie, would you like to answer this one first?
I mean, when I talk to single people, it's all about your preference. You see what I'm saying? And I'll use the example that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave when it talks about the importance of us studying ourselves. He said, if you are a 2, not like measuring you on a scale of 10 or whatever, but if you are a 2 and you want a relationship that's on the level of a 10, then using the principle of multiplication, you need to multiply that 2 by what? A 5, right? So because you know who you are, you know what you need to get you to the next level. So if you know you don't really want a spouse or a mate that's active on social media, telling about everything. Ooh, I stumped my toe on the end of the sofa today. Ooh, this. If you don't want somebody like that, then when you meet someone that has that type of behavior, you have to respectfully say that this is not the type of person I want. And I find out what happens is that many of us don't really know what we want. And then because we don't know what we want, we compromise because we're afraid to be by ourselves until we get what we want.
Yes, sir. Aaron?
Man, social media. Look, I think the key for social media is that some people do it because they need it for entrepreneurship, for who they are, for their thing. Some people are just hooked to it, right? And as Brother Willie said, you just got to know what you can tolerate, right? I mean, I think the proper thing is not to let things get too far in relationships, because I think sometimes we let things go on and on and on, and then one day we just snap and say, "Oh man, you always on social media." You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
yo, you could have said that a month ago or a year ago. We could have avoided all this, right? And if it doesn't change, then you should walk away from the relationship, because I live by the code. You see is what you get, right? You see, is what you get. I do encourage people, as I'm doing right now, take breaks off social media. Right? It can cloud your mind. It can cloud your vision.
Wow.
It can really hinder what you're really after. Social media could be a lustful thing. It can cloud your relationships. You thinking shorty over there, she doing it well and all that kind of stuff, and she's living in the box. You know what I mean? Like, nah, I mean, social media is what it is. Like, it has a huge facade, right? And you have to be careful. And so I challenged myself. I was like, yo, the whole year, no social media at all. I mean, this is, no social media, right? And I found already I've taken better of my health, right? I've been in the gym more. I've been laying out business plans more. I've been taking courses and classes online already. So it's a big challenge for me.
You can do it. You can do it, Aaron. You can do it. Go ahead, Jeff.
For me, I don't really care about the woman's social media if as long as she doesn't change. So if I meet you and you're real active, then I gotta accept that if that's who you are. But if I meet you and you're not active, and then you try to get active, then it's gonna throw something off. Because I'm going to just go by what, I can't get, if let's say there's a woman named Real Bernice, right? On Instagram, and she gets all these likes. I can't meet her and then say, you gotta come off Instagram in order for me and you to be together, because I knew what it was. But then if I meet a quiet woman and she doesn't care, and then all of a sudden she starts to act like Real Bernice, that's gonna throw me off, because I'm gonna be like, I didn't want that. So I just think that if you can have a conversation initially, whatever you say, we're gonna stick to it. So for me, if I meet you, I'm not gonna try to change you. But if I meet you and you're not on there active, then don't get active. And if you are active, then don't try to not be active. So just stick to it. Hold on, I gotta tell you what everybody's saying in the comments. Okay, so Amy said we don't have to take up charity offering because y'all teaching. Gamalico says we have to learn how to embrace the human experience. Khadija says amen. Lost on knowing what I want. Cartisa says couples should communicate what the expectation is, and if they don't match your expectations, then like the brother said, they are not for you, but do not have unrealistic or unequal expectations where you, as the man on social media, but you do not allow your woman to be on it. Everyone doesn't view social media as important the same way. Thank you, Cartisa. And if you all have any questions, y'all can please put them in the comment. Tamisha didn't say anything, she's just watching. Okay, go ahead now.
This is my last question. It kind of goes with the question I had before, but it's a little different. When a woman says she wants to be provided for, what do you think that means? Yes, you can set that up.
Okay. Okay. I think that a woman wants mental, spiritual, physical. I think she wants all of the man. That's just from my from my observations and my experience. She wants all the man's time, all the man's everything. I think it's on us as men to establish what is too much and what's not enough. But I think the woman wants all of it. That's what I think. I think she wants everything.
Aaron.
One more time, the question, Naeemah?
When a woman says she wants to be provided for, what do you think that means?
One, I think provided for is just a cliche word for her trying to get your attention. So I think when she said she wants to be provided for, she just wants your undivided attention. She wants that love language fulfilled, right? If you're trying to spend quality time, but she likes physical touch, I mean, that you're throwing her off. She's gonna still tell you she needs more of you. She needs more of you. And that's that's understanding the person, that's investing into the relationship to find out what they want by taking, silly tests like 5 love languages. Some people think it's silly. But then outside of that, like, you have to understand, as people evolve, their love language changes and what they do, right? So, you like, baby, but last week you were saying, I need this, I need that. But she was at work and she got yelled at by her boss, and now she needs something different. Her mom passed away, now she needs something different. Her dad passed away, now she needs something different. So you just have to be always on alert. Don't ever think that you're gonna conquer this relationship, right? It's a forever work. It's the hardest thing on earth. It's a forever work. So you'll never accomplish the relationship. You'll never you can't never say, oh, it's in drive, it's all good, right? Because it's never in drive. You gotta stay on it. You gotta maintain it. You gotta get the oil change. You gotta do it. That's just the way it is. So that's how I feel about it.
Yes, sir.
Excellent.
Well, I guess I'm next, right? On that
yes,
question.
Sir. Yes, sir.
3 things come to mind. In light of the changing realities that we face, I would suggest to any brother that when you get into a relationship, ask that sister or ask that woman, what do they mean and understand as it relates to when they say, I want to be provided for, right? Because I want to say that, just as we talked about earlier, the fastest growing number of people who have entrepreneurs are Black women, are women, right? And so when you look at it, think about Khadijah with the history of Prophet Muhammad. She was wealthy, right? So when she said, if she had a desire to be provided for, her physical means were already taken care of. So what do you do for a woman who already has that? And this is why I talk about going back to that book. The guy talks about how that's why when men hear women say, I don't need a man because I got this, I got that. He said that's why most men run from women who say that. Because as men, we want to feel needed. So, and as brothers, we have to understand, and this is where we make the mistake as men. We think about being a provider as solely as being able to put a roof over her head, a car, clothing, and food.
Come on.
And what happens is when that doesn't satisfy her, because we think that she's just a material thing, and as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, that the woman is not the woman of man, she's the woman of God. So can you provide and feed her essence? Because you have men who can provide financially, but they get divorced. Look at the football players. Look at the basketball players. Like 2 years after they retire, the divorce rate is like 80%. They got the financial things, but that's not what makes a woman completely happy. So I would say to brothers and to men who are watching this, regardless of your color, whatever that is, your religion, ask her that question. And for sisters, you have to be clear on what provision looks like and what you need. But oftentimes we don't know what we want. And then we get mad when the person can't give us what we're not even clear on what we want.
And I think it goes back to what you said earlier, Brother Willie, like half of the time we don't know what we want.
We don't
know what we need, right? As human creatures out here, we've been living a life, right?
Yeah.
And we've been poisoned by this, we've been poisoned by that. And so you're trying to get a need fulfilled. You trying to get something deep rooted inside of you fulfilled that you don't even know what you're dealing with. So when you say, oh man, this person ain't doing it for me. He came, but have you communicated what you need? Have you sat down and said, man, I'm a child of 5 and I never got the attention I needed from my parents because they was taking care of the other 4. You gotta sit down because you might have the right one, but you pushing them away because you don't know what you need.
Excellent.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I got the comments, Naeemah. Here we go. Okay, Tamisha says provided for everything: time, money, love, security, friendship, attention, and Dragon Ball Z. Okay, Khadijah says most women been in general already handling her finances. I believe when she says that she just wants a man to provide more on a mental and spiritual level. Yahweh says, A for Christ, hitting the questions right on the head, good answer. Gamaliel says, depend on the sister. Desiree says, it seems as though many of us have lost the art of truly getting to know someone. How can you elaborate on the true meaning on the how you get to know a person? Do you view getting to know someone as science? Can you break down that? And that's me asking a question. So Brother Willie or Big Aaron?
Getting to know somebody, it's like, it's a job, right? You hear people say relationships is work. Relationships is work. And I think that it truly is work. I mean, you have to look at this thing as a job. You can't do it part-time. You do it part-time, you're going to get part-time information. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you're going to put in overtime, you're going to get to know the person a lot better. So my honest feedback to that is put the time in and get somebody who's willing to put the time into you, right? So then y'all immediately understand each other, get to know each other. Because when that person needs something different, you'll know what it is. You'll know what area needs to be fulfilled. Honestly, stay away from sex, man, if you ain't married. You can't it's the hardest thing to do. Like, man, I'm a living witness. It's a hard thing to do. Just keeping it 100, man. Like, if once that comes in, like you done lost the person. You done lost. So God doesn't like, a little spiritual, right? So God doesn't forsake us for going to have sex and things like that. What he's trying to get you is what your question is. He's trying to help you get to know the person. Once that comes in, ain't no more going to the movies. We're going to the bedroom. Ain't no more going to the bedroom. You know what I mean? Like, it's over. You know what I mean? Like, you find yourself, and then the first thing we say as people is that, oh man, like, yo, we don't even go out no more. We used to go to the movies. We used to go bowling. You used to like me. You used to love me. Well, the love you talking about wasn't real love. It was just physical. You know what I mean? You never got to know the person that you was trying to get to know. So I'll let Brother Willie take it.
Yes, sir. Good
so much as it relates to that question. See, I think one of the mistakes that we make in relationships, we spend too much time trying to work and change other people instead of studying ourselves. See, when we know what we want, we would know what we want in a mate, right? Think about, like, from our theological perspective, what we're taught about God's self-creation, right? And then we're taught that he studied himself, and after studying himself, he looked within himself, and out of that, then the woman was created. So what will we do as human beings if we studied ourselves, studied how our upbringing made us, studied how our relationship or lack of relationship with our mother, our father, or other people, how did that shape us? And think about this. Do you know when people spend the most time in retail stores, grocery stores, when they go into the store not knowing what they want? That's not only do we spend more time in the stores, but we also end up buying stuff we didn't have the money for. But if we already took some time to write down what we want, what's the budget? When we go into the store, we know I'm only here for this, this, and that, and I can't get this. But many of us jump into relationships, and I'm telling you, most people do not know what they want. They just want, as our brother said, most people just want somebody that eventually we're going to start to satisfy that sexual need. And now in this day and age of social media, most people just want something that they can say, look at me and bae, hashtag bae. But we don't want to do the work, right? So if we spend more time focusing on ourselves, studying our strengths, studying our areas where we need to improve, studying what we can tolerate, what's our preferences, and be sound on it. When we meet that person, we'll be able to separate the fake from the real, because we will know that's the person right there. But and another point that our brother said, and I love what he's saying, what everybody's saying in his relationship with Christ, because you can tell he talked about us abstaining from sex.
Yeah.
And people, like I tell people, listen, man, let's try something new. In all of your past relationships, one thing that y'all had sex very early. Won't you try something new and say, on this go around, I'm going to abstain from sex? You'll be amazed how clear that will be. Because a lot of times when we begin to start having sex, we confuse sex with love. And it's not.
Yes,
you see what I'm saying? Like, and this is one of the things that I hate about this world. I'm telling you about this world. They make it appear as if sex is not something that cannot be worked upon and cannot be improved. But they say stuff like, man, that's like, would you buy a car before you test drive it? Now, how you gonna know? See, even when you marry somebody, if you all didn't have sex, the physical act of sex is only a byproduct or the final outcome of how somebody emotionally feels.
Come on, man.
That's right.
You see what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
So if you can make a woman know that you are with her, you are committed with her, and you're so committed that you're ready to be with her for the rest of her life, I don't care what all these people saying about how good their sex is. Their sex, and this has been scientifically proven, they've done studies on this, that they say married couples who are happily married, they have rated their sexual intimacy at a higher rate than those who jump around from person to person. So when we come together, that's where the conversation comes in. That's what helps to build that intimacy. Listen, I know last night was good, but this is what I like. This is what I don't like. Can you try this? Let's read this. Let's do this. That can be improved upon, but this world has people believing that you can't improve on sex unless you have sex with somebody before you marry them. And like what brother said when he said it's not like, he said what God is trying to get us to do is be sober-minded, I'm paraphrasing, so what we can see what we want, right? Do you know, I heard Brother Captain Dennis say this, Josh.
Yes, sir.
When they have these dogs that sniff bombs, if it's a male dog, do you know that they make sure that if a female dog is around and is in heat, that they move her from the scene? Because the dog would not be able to do its job because that sexual job, he smells this dog in heat. And it keeps us from being, it keeps us from being focused. You see what I'm saying? So for those who are out there, if you've been in relationship after relationship, try it without sex. And you may say, well, what if the person leaves? Then guess what? That wasn't the person for you.
For you, that's right. That's right.
That's good.
Absolutely. Okay. It's hard.
And look, can I share this last? I'm gonna give you this real testimony. This last part.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So listen. Check this out. The longest committed, faithful relationship I've ever been in my life is the current one to my wife of 18 years. And when I look back and I ask myself, I said, damn, man, what was different from this relationship compared to the others? One of the major ones was I knew God, I was working to improve myself, and I entered this relationship not with the goal of trying to sleep with her, but trying to figure out if she was compatible and had everything that I needed to be my wife.
Man, that's good.
Yes, sir.
Man,
Yes,
I think that compatibility is huge. Just to jump in a little bit. A lot of us know we like Mercedes, but we messing around with Fords. A lot of us BMW, we're messing around with Chevys. You know what I mean? Like yo, if you date your Mercedes, if you date your BMW, don't worry, the sex gonna be good. It's gonna be straight. You know what I mean? But if you over here with the Fords and all that kind of stuff, yeah, you're gonna be empty because it can't fulfill you. It can't give you what you need. There's two levels. There's two levels.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Okay, so I'm coming back to the comments, Naeemah, and then we'll go back to you. I just wanted to follow what you all said. My high school girlfriend, shout out to Naperville where I went to high school, and we were together for quite some time. But at the end of the relationship, when we wound up breaking up, I was asking one of her best friends, I said, does she even know my favorite movie?
Wow.
Does she even know where I was in life? Does she want to know? We was together, and we didn't know nothing. I didn't know. I can't say like I knew what it was for her either, but she didn't know nothing about what I wanted to be in life. She had no idea about my real dream, but we was together though. We was physically together. We was always holding hands, walking, going to Gala, the Bowl, downtown, and all of that. Downtown, all of that. We was caking. But when it came to my real dreams and my insecurities and my childhood trauma or past, she didn't know nothing about that. But we were together for years. So so I'm saying that to say that make sure you really know somebody so that you're not just a physical body being with that person and you're really trying to connect on a higher and a spiritual level. Okay, now I'm coming to these comments. Okay, Marvel said, must have the ability to make adjustments, constantly ask questions. Khadija, hello. Raymond M. Peace family, okay. How do you truly measure a person? Okay, let's go with that. Desiree, that's next. Big Aaron and Brother Willie, how do you truly measure a person?
How do you truly measure a person?
I mean, look, once again, I think sometimes we look just a little bit too deep in it. I mean, honestly, sometimes we make it too complicated, right? You gotta ask yourself, you know, what do I want? What do I need? Do I need somebody to push me, motivate me, or do I need somebody to take care of me? I mean, just look inside and see where your life is. You know, all jokes aside, if you're working at the grocery store, you know, like maybe you should stay away from the CEO. You know what I mean? Like that's you know, I mean, it's just, you know, it's serious. Like you have to determine where you are in your life and where do you want to go, because some people are just too advanced for you or not advanced or just not on the same level or the same platform you at. So I think measuring is just like, look, let me measure my outlook, see where I want to go in life. Like, honestly, I know where I want to be. You know, I know what I want to do in life. So I need somebody who's going to support me, support my family and in that elevation, because God is not going to provide you what you want. He's going to provide you what you need, right?
Teach.
So, I mean, that's essentially it. So discover who you are, as Brother Willie's been saying, and the needs that you have and aspirations that you have. You know, if you want to travel for the rest of your life, you know, you got to be careful. I mean, that's what I do all day long. I travel 60% of the year. So therefore, I have to have somebody in my household that's okay with that. And I have to measure that prior before you get in too deep, because
good point.
The deeper you get,
yeah.
Man, it's hard to get.
That's a good point. Yeah. That's it. And when I think about, like when they say, how do we measure somebody? Okay, my question would be, what are you using as the standard to measure them with? And see, we as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, one of the greatest battles that every human being can engage in, regardless of their color, their faith, is the battle with self. And see, that's the battle we want to run from, right? That's why, like in the book that I wrote, The Journey to Get the Love You Desire Begins With You, I talk about how I place you, the reader, right in the ring with the number one person that's stopping them from getting the love they desire, which is us. The way you measure a person is by working to self-improve yourself. Because the clearer you are on what you want, the clearer you're going to be able to see. Like Jesus said this in the Bible. He said, how can you look at I'm paraphrasing, how can you trip over the splinter in your brother's eye and you got a whole plank in yours? Now imagine a plank. If you got a plank, that means you can't even see. You really blind. Imagine a blind person trying to judge somebody else, measure somebody else. No, work on getting it out your eyes so you can have a better view of what you actually want, right? And when it's talking about that measurement, there was another point I was going to make. It slipped my mind, but I'll just go back to, you have to work on yourself. Know what you want, and you will be able to identify the person that will mean something to you. And like for example, look what our brother said, and like what you said too, Brother Josh. Imagine sisters who was interested in you all, and imagine brother telling somebody, I travel 60% of the year. That's 60% of the year is a lot. And imagine a woman dismissing that, or in their mind saying, yeah, I know he travels 60% of the year, but I'm gonna get him to break that down to 30%. You're gonna have a problem. And like, for example, from what I know about Brother Joshua, he loves music. He has a wide variety of tastes. Josh could be talking about Justin Bieber, Lil Wayne, and you know that brother Joshua is not the type of person that's going to allow somebody to put him in a box.
Right.
You know, he likes theater, right? But if somebody knows that I'm not this, that's not what I want, then they know, like, yo, this is not fitting. But you have to know who you are so you be able to know what you don't want. And that's the work that we are not doing.
Yes, sir.
And that we're not willing to put in either.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I know.
Excellent.
I know
Okay.
the point. Can I say this last point?
Yes, sir.
There's an article that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan did. It's a very good article for anybody who wants to learn a method of how to select a mate. It's titled God's Choice of Jesus as a Servant, something like that. And what the minister is showing, he said, study the way that God selects his servants. And he said, from that example, you can find out how to select your own mate. He said, for example, when God selected Moses, he had an idea in his mind. He wanted somebody that was raised up in the house of Pharaoh, but their love was not corrupted by Pharaoh's wealth. They still loved the people. He wanted somebody that was not they were not formed by the educational system of Egypt. God had an idea in his mind of what type of servant he wanted, the same as he did with Lot, the same as he did with Noah, the same as he did with Prophet Muhammad and Jesus. And the minister says, we have to have an idea. And I will say this in closing. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that one of the problems that he noticed with most of the men, he said, we don't know what we want and we don't know where we're going. So we can't find, if you don't know where you're going, then how are you going to find to help you do what? When you don't even know what you're doing, where you want to go?
Man, come on.
Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. Naeemah, I got some more. Here we go.
Okay.
So, Curtis said, please discuss control, submission, and security as separate issues. Protecting the woman doesn't require control. A wife can submit. She should not be controlled. What is you all's definition of? Curtis is trying to be kicking us over here. She's saying, what is you all's definition of control in a relationship?
I mean, look, I think Brother Willie kind of touched on this earlier. If you feel controlled in your relationship, then the relationship probably not for you, right? That's not something you need to be in. If you feeling controlled and you feeling like constrained and you feeling like myself, I feel like I can't travel 60% of the year, it's probably not for me. You know what I mean? And so you just have to understand the person that you're working with, because what they're trying to do when you feel controlled, they're trying to make you fit in their environment, right? And you already have a purpose, you already have a task that you need to get to. So, you know, I would say that you gotta check the relationship that you're in if you're feeling actually controlled.
Absolutely. Okay, Brother Willie, she's saying, what is your definition of control in a relationship?
You know, we have to be clear and understand that control and oppression are two different things.
Okay, yes, sir.
When you're driving your car down the street, you're controlling that wheel, but it's not oppression. You see what I'm saying? And so what begins to happen is really, brothers and sisters, is that we have seen too many examples where people have used the term submission as a cover for oppression. Submission does not take away the person's ability to exercise principles of freedom, justice, and equality. Submission does not make a person doubt their own selves or feel inferior, right? Yes, so when God says this, he says, Christ is the head of man and man is the head of woman. What woman would not want somebody who has Christ as their head?
That's right.
Jesus controlled the disciples, but it wasn't oppressive. We have to begin to start realizing this. We have to make sure that we don't find somebody, whether they're in the mosque or whether they're in the church, whether they're in the synagogue or whether they're out the streets, where they're using submission as a form of their is a cover up or a camouflage from them being some damn dictator or some tyrant.
That's
right?
That's right.
And so we have to get a clear understanding and a visual example of what real control is. And I'll use the example. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that what you can't control, you can't protect. But look at the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's example with his wife Khadijah. Does it look like he's oppressing Mother Khadijah?
Yes, sir.
So control is not somebody trying to say, tell me every minute where you going. We just here in the city of New Orleans last night, a sister did a presentation on domestic violence. And she talked about how one of the characteristics of somebody that's physically abusive, they have this inordinate amount of control. Every day I want you to tell me how many miles you drove. I need to know who you talked to. I need to know what you ate, where you ate. I need to know what you did every hour. That's not control, that's oppression, right? And if we listen, it goes back to taking time to study ourselves. If we take time to study ourselves, if the way somebody is interacting with us if it vexes the peacefulness of our spirit, then that ain't the type of submission that God. I'm gonna put it this way: if you being in submission to this man disrupts your peace as a woman, that's not real. That's not real submission.
Excellent. Okay, I just want to follow up that with Chris for you asking that question. I think that a lot of men, I'll just use myself. When I'll go back to high school, when I was in high school and I would be
high school
insecure.
Experiences.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All 4 years.
Yeah. All 4 years, right? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Because anything you can be used against you in the court of law, so you got to be careful what you say. So my sophomore year in high school, when I had a girlfriend, I was insecure in how attractive she was and how many dudes was trying to talk to her at school, right? So my insecurity made me oppress her. Not knowing that's what I was doing. I was like, don't do this, don't go here, always go here, boom. And at some point, it made me turn into like I was lame because I couldn't be myself because I was insecure about her just being herself. She wasn't necessarily cheating on me. She wasn't necessarily wilding, but my own insecurity made me try to oppress her. So the more confident in who I became and who I was becoming as a man, then I started to be like, man, you gotta do what you gotta do because hey, me and God good, and every woman I interacted with after that understood like, oh, he's not an insecure person. So I'm not trying to keep you. Women think that, you're trying to oppress them. Like, don't do this. No, I'm trying to just protect you, but I'm not worried about you cheating on me and all of that because the minister said insecurity can make you a devil. So, the worst thing you do as a man is be insecure, bro. So, hey, don't be insecure. Shout out to Drew. Hold on, Naeemah. Now you got another question. I'm going to keep going.
No, I'm done. I'm done.
Okay, hold on, Naeemah. Okay, here we go. So, Drew, I see you, bro.
Brother Josh.
Yes, sir.
Can I read this right fast?
Absolutely.
One of the people I'm a big fan of is our sister Ayanna Van Zant.
Yes, sir.
And when I watch her shows, when I have the time to sit down, I take notes. Listen to what she said about control. She said people who have issues with control really have issues with trust and being able to surrender.
That's true.
Absolutely. That's deep. Okay. Here she says, why does the man feel the need to control his wife or woman? What degree of control does a man require in a relationship?
I think Brother Willie hit it the best. I mean, it's just a difference between control and oppression.
All right, we already answered the control ones. Okay, how important is respect for men? How can a woman demonstrate respect for her mate?
Oh, save that for next week. Tell them about next week.
Okay.
She didn't say that's a good one for next week, but go ahead.
Okay. We next week we're bringing 3 women on, and I'll be the moderator for 3 women. Okay. Excellent. Okay, making a good discussion, recognition. Okay, here we go. Control can be interpreted in a couple ways, but it's definitely protection when it's the right person. making a good distinction on clarifying the word control. Thank you all. We really went off on the control part. Okay. Got it. That's the same question. Excellent. I want to thank you all for coming on and thank everyone for tuning in. I want to thank the panelists and moderator today, Naeemah. Naeemah, can you say goodbye to everybody? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Willie. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you,
Josh.
Thank you, Naeemah. Excellent questions. And Naeemah, keep those up, because next week we're coming back on. Okay. Big Aaron, can you please say goodbye to everybody? And thank you, bro, for coming on and take time out your schedule, man.
Hey, absolutely. Look, guys, I mean, this ain't easy. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Josh, for holding this, because I think the key is you got to get somebody on your level or above you to help you, to keep you accountable, for someone to talk to. Brothers, please talk to other brothers about relationships.
Yes.
Yeah.
Having the same problems you having.
Yes.
Like, seriously, just find another brother to talk to. Sisters, find another sister to talk to, because they having the same problems. And brothers, just stay strong out there. Look, they try to oppress you, they try to keep you down, but you have to stay strong. You gotta stay level-headed. Keep striving for greatness. Keep striving to be the best who you can be. Look, it all takes work. It all takes time, and you just got to be patient. And sisters, be patient with your brothers.
Thank you.
A lot of times, look, we want this microwave, relationship. Oh, I've been with you for 2 years. It's time. Let's go. Everybody got a different time. Just because your homegirl got married in 3 months don't mean that's for you. So, just live your life and live that life with your man and who God has given you. And I think it all work out. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Naeemah.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
No problem. We'll stand up. All right, Brother Willie. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, Brother Minister. Please say goodbye to everybody.
I say goodbye, and Brother Josh. That testimony that you just gave, that last high school memory, that was very powerful, man. And I think if people really go back and listen to that, it will help them understand this thing about control. And lastly, I would say, I'll give a little plug. Make sure you go. My book is on Amazon. How to Get the Love You Desire Begins With You. Just type in Brother Willie. And on YouTube, How to Get the Love You Desire. You see my 1 minute relationship tips. So thank you all, man. Thank you, sis. Very good questions.
Thank you.
Very good questions.
Thank you.
And salute to you too, my brother from Atlanta, man. Stay strong, man. You too, Brother Josh. Yo,
yes,
last
thank
question.
you all.
Where's Naperville?
That's in the suburbs of Chicago.
Oh, all right. I was like, where's that?
Yes, sir. Okay. Desiree says, thank you for the show. Thank you. Thank you, Yahweh. Thank you, Mimi. Thank you, Curtisa. Thank you, Tamisha. Thank you, everyone who watched. We're going to put it on YouTube. And
Wait,
next
I got to
Thursday,
give my husband a shout out.
Go ahead.
Today makes 7 months. So I got to give my husband a shout out.
Beyonce's on tour, so I can't give her a shout out right now. It doesn't matter. All right, thank you all. All right, have a great day.
All right, appreciate it.